All right, Cancer, here we go. Here's your overall for the week. Oh boy. The Four of Pentacles. So, beyond being the hoarder or the miser, I feel more so that, this is going to have to do with somebody who's not, like willing to change or not willing to give up their position. With the Four of Pentacles, you're talking about somebody who's trying to maintain their status. When you get to this place of stability, it comes with it the fear of losing what you've gained and not wanting to share anything, not wanting to give anything up. And clearly here's somebody who's not wanting to give up their position either. Now, in the past, the Ace of Wands. So, and that's good to see that it's still coming through, because it means it's still a possibility. The Ace of Wands as the past coming through is saying that there was an opportunity here for a new passionate beginning, especially if we're talking about relationships. But, again, this could have to do with work, right? But with the Ace of Wands, new passion, new creative ideas. But, if somebody is not willing to change, then it's going to remain in the past, basically. Now, in the present, the Hermit. Now, normally, and I've been seeing this one a lot. With the Hermit, I usually feel like, soul searching needs to be done, right? Because he's got the star in his lantern and needing to go back and look at what the initial hope and dream was. Now, I think that some of you may just be in like hermit mode, because there's an unwillingness here to just kind of like let go and open up to a new beginning. And some of you may just really be like thinking about it right now rather than actually acting on anything. But again, like, isolation between the Four of Pentacles being the overall and looking at the Hermit. But, I'll wait and see what's going on here. Future conditions. So now, if you are in this position here with the Knight of Swords coming out in future conditions, it's like you start moving forward here and like expressing a blunt truth. I don't feel like this is hasty action because of the Four of Pentacles being there. I mean, even if you're getting to this place where you're willing to be a little bit more giving, I would have expected to see something else than something so harsh as the Knight of Swords. Now, it may be that you are like done being in hermit mode here and needing to express something to somebody else to kind of get things moving again, instead of being in this like stuck position and unwilling to change. But definitely direct, blunt truth. Like, I don't ever question it with the Knight of Swords. And like I said, I mean, as far as an action, I don't think that you're being hasty. I just think that you're coming out now and you understand your truth and you're speaking it directly. Okay. Your best path to follow, the King of Cups. So, needing to stay in control of your own emotions is basically what that is. With Cancer, I don't ever feel like there's a need for you to tap into your emotional side. But if we're talking about you coming out of this soul searching and then like directly communicating, it's like just needing to remember to not be so harsh, like still be that loving, supportive King of Cups that you are, but still needing to be like in control of your emotions. Like, you don't want to like be too harsh. Again, I don't think that you're being too hasty on a situation. I just think that, you're like being really direct, but there's a reason for that though. Again, with the Four of Pentacles being there. And it's all about wanting to make the most of this Ace of Wands though. Okay. In your environment, the King of Wands. So, and I'm looking at it. And here's what I feel like. Now, first of all, whether you're male or female, when I'm looking at the King of Cups, I see that as Cancer. Now, with the King of Wands being in your environment, though, I do think that we are talking about another person here. Now, a fire sign possibly, but it's not just you. I think it's the other person too, though, that may be like in hermit mode here and like really trying to do some soul searching about, this passion, this initial passion. But it's like you or the other person here are like stuck. It's like somebody is unwilling to give up their position. I mean, that's just basically it. But somebody comes out here and is being really direct, but I think it's you because of the advice being the King of Cups. But, you know, with the King of Wands showing up, I mean, besides it being a fire sign, like I've said before, he tends to show up when there is like a really strong attraction to somebody, you know. And with the Ace of Wands being there, yeah, I mean, there's passion that's still there. It's like it's still there. Your hopes and your fears, the Four of Cups. I think that, you know, if this is about you and like needing to say something, I think that there may be a little bit of fear of like disinterest from somebody else, you know, this person here that's in your environment. Now, I mean, as far as you go, it's like, you know, if I act on this and I change my position and like I open up to possibly a new beginning here, is it gonna be the same as it was before? You know, because when I look at the Four of Cups, I think, you know, if there's an offer coming through, what makes it any better or any different than what you already have or what you've already experienced? You know, but I do think that for some of you, it's like worried about somebody else being disinterested. Oh boy, and you and Aries. Oh, Cancer and Aries. Maybe. The Knight of Cups coming out. Two totally different types of energies here, but I think that you're being honest, you're being direct. I think that you need to be careful about like how blunt that you're being. But then also there's a need here to be a little bit more in control of your emotions, because ultimately here you come out with the Knight of Cups. Here's the thing, you know, if you're facing like a difficult situation within a relationship here, with the Four of Pentacles being the overall, again, somebody not wanting to give up their position or not willing to change. When you're looking at the Knight of Cups coming out, you know, it's like wearing your heart on your sleeve. Do you really want to like get emotionally involved and, you know, risk there not being a connection? But then, you know, also if you're just following where your heart is leading you, you know, again, there's a need to be like more in control, because you revert to the Knight of Cups. One of the things that I talk about with the Knight of Cups, when you start this progression with the court cards, when you first start with the Page of Cups, you're talking about new emotional experiences, the new expression of emotions. The Knight of Cups is like a junkie chasing the first high. Okay, this is somebody that's constantly wanting to have that feeling over and over and over again. That's why we talk about it being, you know, great that he's the messenger in love and romance. And like, definitely, I feel like you're still willing to make an offer here. But the thing is that feelings change. All right. So now, again, when we're talking about the Knight of Cups, you're talking about, you know, the offering, right? The offering of emotions. Now, you know, as far as work, I mean, definitely it could be like you extending an offer or somebody extending it to you, but then you needing to like be willing to accept it. Now, with the Ace of Pentacles, right, I love it because that opportunity is still there for you. There's passion, but there's also what is realistic, what is practical, what is going to be long lasting. But with the Seven of Cups being there, you know, I mean, this could definitely point to the fact that you may have a couple of different options. Again, because of the two aces showing up, which is a possibility here. But, you know, you're not making anything real, though, with the Seven of Cups, or fantasizing. We're not making anything reality here. You know, wishful thinking about a situation that, you know, I think that there's a possibility that it may not turn out the way that you expect. But when we're looking at the Two of Pentacles ultimately coming out here, it's like you're still trying to balance out like what you could be doing as far as like the different options that are coming through, the different things that you could be doing, instead of like putting so much time, effort, and fantasy into just one. It may be that you need to really figure out what it is that you actually want here, instead of juggling, you know, two different things. And again, like I said, this could be a relationship or work. But it's like I have to wonder if for some of you, you don't have another offer coming through somewhere else. I think that there is a need for you to be in control of your emotions because, there's like hopes and fears surrounding one situation with one person with an opportunity that was already there, but then it's like something else may come through. And like I said, the only reason why I say that is because of the progression here. Having another ace, having several options with the Seven of Cups, and then you trying to figure it out with the Two of Pentacles. And I still think that some of you are like coming out and being really direct with your communication with somebody. But the fact that you're still showing this kind of a fear says a lot about the person that you may already be dealing with right now. And that may be why, you're kind of like in this mode of, do I really want this? Especially if you may have something else. But you're not really doing anything about it though either, which is the frustrating part. All right. So for Cancer singles, loving yourself first. I mean, we hear it all the time. You have to love yourself first before anybody else can love you, right? But needing to have respect for yourself. But I feel like some of you with the Eight of Wands here, it could be that you may be trying to move a little bit too quickly with a relationship. Now, normally with the Eight of Wands, right, you're talking about savoring the moment, which is perfect. But I look at the ladder in the background and I think about the Eight of Wands as it is anyway. And I think of somebody who may be like trying to, make something happen with somebody and like trying to take the relationship to the next level when you need to just be enjoying the moment. But it may be because of like insecurity, and there's like a need to love yourself first here before, you try to get a relationship to the next level, right? But then again, if you're loving yourself first, you may have somebody coming through that you may be really enjoying though too, which is great. Now, for those of you who are in a relationship, it is safe for you to love. Yeah. If you're showing as the Queen of Swords right now, and again, when we go back to forgiveness, it may be that, is somebody did something stupid. Now, whether you're male or female here, when we're looking at the Queen of Swords, right, she is pushing out the other person because there is like difficulties going on. And I go right back to forgiveness and I think of the Three of Swords when I see this. So you're either dealing with the Queen of Swords or you are the Queen of Swords. And there's a need for you to like open up and be more loving, especially if you're needing to come to a place of forgiveness and understanding here. And again, remembering that love conquers all. But somebody did something wrong, and there may have been like a moment of like separation or misunderstanding. But it's safe for you to love is saying that there's, a need for the relationship to get back to that loving place, despite whatever may have happened. But damn it, Cancer, why can't it ever just be... It bothers me because it's been persistent ever since I came back. Love is not something that is simple for you guys. It's this fucking double-edged sword. And it can't just be what you need it to be, But I will say, though, for the singles, I think that you have a really good opportunity coming through. Just don't try to push a relationship too quickly. And for those of you who do have a couple of different options... Stop balancing that shit out. Don't do that. Make a choice here because you have two very beautiful new beginnings coming through. But if you have, this person here that, hey, you're still worried about with the Four of Cups and them being disinterested, then, maybe you need to choose the option that's going to be a little bit better for you in terms of being realistic and long lasting. All right, Cancer. So again, it's like it can never just be what it needs to be for you. And it drives me nuts. There's always an underlying issue when it comes to love. I mean, it never fails. So, again, with forgiveness, there's a need for you to get to this place of forgiveness. But forgiving yourself for being allowed to be put in a situation where you were hurt in the first place. Now, you have an opportunity that's still coming through, and I think that this person in your environment is responsible for this. But, you and this person may both be in, like, hermit mode right now, where it's just you trying to think about, Was this actually what I wanted? Was this Ace of Wands actually what was in the lantern, right? With the star being there, your hope, your dream. Now, coming out with the Knight of Swords, right? Like, especially if you're dealing with a situation where either you or the other person are not willing to give up your position here, I think that's you being very blunt and being very direct. And the communication is like straight to the point. But there's like this need to be in control of your emotions before you say anything. Now, on the other hand, though, you know, I do think that with the Knight of Cups, yeah, you need to be in control of your emotions and don't, you know, be so ready to have your heart on your sleeve. But I think that you may be pulled in a completely different direction. Now, as far as the Four of Cups, right, like, especially if you have this still coming through, it's like, okay, that's great. But is it something that, you know, you really want, or are you worried about whether or not this person here is going to be, like, open to your communication? Or are they going to lose interest, right? Now, coming out of this, though, again, with the Knight of Cups, you have the Ace of Pentacles, the Seven of Cups, and then the Two of Pentacles. You may have another offer coming through that is completely different than what you were dealing with in the first place. And I think that with the Seven of Cups, again, we're not really doing anything here as far as making something real, but I think that you're looking at your options right now. And unfortunately, you get to a place where you may be balancing out two different situations. Now, what offer is going to be the best here, you know, with the Four of Cups showing? But I think that this has more, though, to do with the person that's in your environment. Whether or not you're interested in it or whether or not they're still interested in it. But like I said, with the Knight of Cups coming out, it's like I think you've got something else. And there's a need for you to just stay in control. I still don't think that you're being hasty as far as the Knight of Swords. I think that, you know, especially if you've been in this position for far too long, or somebody else has been, then yeah, I can see you speaking up like, all right, that's enough of that now. Something has to change. But it's like somebody is not willing to. But damn it, Cancer, you know, why can't it ever just be a good thing? Now, as far as relationships go, looking at Love Yourself First and looking at the Eight of Wands, I'm telling you, I think that for some of you, you need to, like, pay more attention to yourself here instead of worrying about, like, needing to have a relationship get going for you. Now, on the other hand, it may be because you start loving yourself that you have somebody come through that you really enjoy. Because again, with the Eight of Wands, it's savoring the moment. We can take things to the next level later. Let's just enjoy what we have right now. But like I said, it's needing to not push it, right? Like, you need to be okay with yourself before you take something to the next level. Now, for those of you who are in a relationship, it is safe for you to love. And if you're showing as the Queen of Swords, absolutely, that makes sense. Now, like I said, it doesn't matter if you're male or female here. If you're showing as the Queen of Swords, you have pushed somebody out because they did something stupid. And that's basically what she is. And it's saying that it's safe for you to love. It's safe for you to open up again. Now, if you dealt with the Queen of Swords and maybe things didn't go so well, then it's saying that it's okay for you to open up to another relationship. But, you know, I think it's more about you coming back together with another person, though. Especially with how you're showing with the Ace of Wands. But I'm telling you that trying to juggle two situations out like this is not going to be a good thing. But what I will say is that if you have the Ace of Pentacles showing up, and like I've said with this one before, it has the potential to last you for a really long time if you make the most of it. But like, it's up to you. And there's still a need for you to be in control of your emotions before you make the most of any opportunity and stop trying to balance a couple of them out. Don't fantasize about what could be. Make a choice. But make sure that, you know, you're in control of the emotional choices that you're making.